And also, sitting opposite me is a man that went to school where historian Peter Hennessy went. I mean, just what extraordinary coincidence. Name the school.
It was Marling School in Stroud in Gloucestershire.
Stroud, I like that. You see, it just came out there a little bit.
It does a bit, yeah.
A little bit. Anyway, listen, he's got this great book, Tired of London, Tired of Life. When you get tired of London, where do you go in London? What revivifies you? I went to St James's Church on Piccadilly to meet the daughter and her beau, and we sat in a little coffee shop that was hidden, and I didn't know it was there, in the churchyard. Tom Jones. This is the name of the geezer I'm talking to. It's too funny, Tom Jones. Don't sing. But there are loads of little secret places. I want to hear your secret London haunts. 0207 224 2000, Battersea Square. Yummy. Text 81333 starting with London. Jeni at bbc.co.uk. There's millions of ways of making this next half hour interesting. Before I talk to Tom, though, I'm talking to Marcus in Shepherd's Bush. What would you do in London? Good morning, Marcus.
Hello, have I not accidentally put you on hold on my phone?
No.
Oh, good, because I thought I did, and when I started talking, I didn't think I was going to be heard.
No, listen, we can hear you loud and clear.
Oh, good.
Go on.
Okay, what do I do? If me and my partner Tony, we've sort of got a bit of extra time on our hands, and we're going somewhere or coming back from somewhere, we'll get off the tube a couple of stops beforehand, and we'll go walking down some of the side streets and peer into people's houses and just spy on people and see what they're doing, and it's great fun.
So now, listen, you're not from England, are you?
No, I'm from Australia.
So
I'm the one that's got that had that cat called Schnooks, and you laughed.
I do. I know that. But what I want to establish is that as an Aussie, you see London. Is your partner English?
Yeah, he's a Londoner.
So do you guys see London very differently?
Well, he knows everywhere and everything about London pretty much, and then when he discovers something, it's like a wow factor for him. But for me, well, I know London quite well as well, but he sort of has a more romantic view of it, and I'm sort of slowly leaning towards that.
So tell me, I just want 3 places. I want 1 that you can talk about and 2 to throw at us. Where's a really fun place to go?
Oh, really? You've put me on the spot here. I actually don't know. I mean, I know what's fun for us, but that's different.
Well, that's what we want. What's fun for you?
Well, what I've just said, places to go was where you're walking down streets that you wouldn't normally go, and you're just peering into people's houses and you're seeing what they're doing. Two stops before.
Yeah. Is there a very romantic place you go to in London? If the weather's balmy like it is today and the twilight hits, where would you go?
I'm going to be boring and say the South Bank and the bridges and stuff. For me, that's nice. Seeing loads of people around. The answer to that question is not that different from anyone else's, really.
No, and I think it's the river. Thank you, Marcus in Shepherd's Bush. So now our capital city has come under the spotlight with the Olympics and Paralympics. So, people say take a holiday right here, but where do you start? Now, Tom Jones found himself doing the same old thing week in, week out in London. Is that true?
Well, yeah, it was October 2008, I think it was, and I did feel I was starting to get tired of London. I think it was as well. Friends were moving away and going on adventures and that kind of thing, and I just felt like I was just stuck in a rut. So yeah, this project sort of started as me just collecting together a few ideas of things that I hadn't done.
Well, I want to start. No, listen, when to compile a book like this, and it's a virgin book, how does a young buck get themselves published with an idea like this? Before we talk about the content, was it an easy journey to get this lovely book onto this table?
Well, I mean, I started off writing it as a website. I having collected those ideas today in January 2009, I decided I made a New Year's resolution that I was going to write a website which suggested one thing a day to do in London, and I started doing that, and as I continued writing it every day, people started reading it, and as more and more people read it, it started to get a bit of profile. And actually, I didn't ever approach anyone to ask if I could write a book. They approached me.
They came to you, Tom.
Which was
Isn't that fantastic?
Nice.
But so here you are from Gloucestershire, Stroud or wherever it is,
it.
and you're a grammar school chap. So did you go off and study writing at university?
No, I studied politics, and the reason I moved to London, I mean, my parents had lived in London back in the day, but the reason I came to London was to work in Parliament for a little while. So that's what brought me here. But then, whilst I was working there, I decided I wanted to do something else. So I started this website.
Now, when it's easy to say that you go and discover London, but actually there you are on your own, and you're going to Parliament Square every day. You're going to the Palace of Westminster, which in itself is a fantastic place to be.
Yes.
But how did you start? Did you have a plan? You were going to go north, south, east, west, or how did it work?
I mean, like your caller was just saying, I find that my best way to discover London is just to head out on aimless sort of rambles and bike rides and that kind of thing. So it really was that. And what I'd do on those trips would be, if I saw something interesting, I'd stop and take a photo or make a note or something like that. And then when I got home, I'd research what that thing was. So
we talk about never having time to stop and stare. And actually, that's what if I go for a walk, I forget that I can actually sit down on the stile and have a look. I think I've got to finish it. I've got to get to the end of it. How the timing of a book like this, when we'll have some music and then we'll come back to the content. But when you are looking for things, you have to have a different pace. And the pace of London is not necessarily conducive to find things.
Well, you say that, but I think perhaps we're thinking about the pace of central London, and what I've tried to do in the book is to cover everything within the M25, really. So there are, there's beautiful bits of green countryside within the M25, which are included in the book, where the pace is a lot slower than it might be on Piccadilly on a Tuesday morning, So my pace was right for where I was and that kind of thing. But I do think slowing down in those places where you're used to rushing around is also good, and you can discover things in a place that you've seen every day of your life.
Now, the book is divided into months. Is
yes.
it not?
Yes.
Now, it doesn't mean that it's going to be August 2012. It means the things that you have discovered will always be there in January, always be there in February, always be there in March. And that's a wonderful conceit. How did you decide on that?
Well, it grew out of that I had been, making sure I was writing a website every day of the year, and I sort of discovered a bit about how London changes through the seasons and that kind of thing, and what you can do. I mean, we're lucky to live in a city where things are open all year round, so some of the things will be things that you could do at any time of the year, but I thought it was interesting to think about how the city changes throughout the year.
But when the flotilla happened and they showed photographs of the paintings of the time, and you think back in the day that the river got frozen over and that the river meant something else. In your discovery, I don't know what would you call yourself? I mean, not even a travel guide, but whatever you are, a literary travel guide. How were you contextualising London? Were you seeing it as something historically or now?
Well, I like to look at London in different ways. I mean, I like to look at London through various people, and in the book you'll see, the London of Darwin, of Dickens, of Gandhi, even, and that kind of thing. So I like to have a few different ways in which I'm looking at it, different historical themes and that kind of thing, and try and in the book I try to give an impression of just quite how diverse and interesting London is by doing that, by not sticking to one particular
This
theme.
is a man that will not be corralled. He will not be corralled. We're going to talk about Tired of London, Tired of Life by Tom Jones. One thing a day to do in London. What would you recommend that goes in the book? One thing a day to do in London. 020 722 4200. Text me 81333 starting with London, or email me Jeni at bbc.co.uk. We're going to go through this book so that we can give you some lovely juicy ideas. After this, it's crazy. Oh, we like that. We liked it when it came out, but we like it still. Now, this is Jeni. Morning, Jen. Can I tell you about Toby, my beautiful retriever? He's now 14. Blimey. I got him when he was 14 months old from the local dog pound. He's a very clever dog. 12 years ago, my grandson was born, and they've been inseparable. In fact, when my grandson was a toddler, we were worried that he thought that he was a dog, trying to eat the dog food, etc. And potty training was something else, as he wanted to copy the dog's habits in the garden. When my husband went to change the baby's nappy, he forgot to get a clean nappy. Within minutes, there was Toby with a clean nappy in his mouth. He walked up and dropped it at my husband's feet. Oh, Jeni, you don't realise that they're actually watching. He also slept under Christian's cot and we couldn't move him until we took the baby out of the cot. Jeni, I have so many Toby stories. You should put them in a book, Jeni Rudd. You should put them in a book and you know, the world of Toby. 0207 224 2000 81333 starting with London. Email me, jenny@bbc.co.uk. Now, isn't that interesting? The passion. I'm sitting with Tom Jones, tired of London, tired of life. Your passion and, you know, this lovely, the world of Toby. We love that, don't we?
Absolutely.
Now, yours came out, this book, One Thing a Day to Do in London, came out of writing a blog, which I think is fantastic. So I just did that bibliographic thing. I'm not telling you. He's panicking in case I throw something at him. It's not rocket science, mate. I've told you it's opened in months. I've just opened it on the 27th of June, which has gone. Sit on Ian Dory's bench.
Oh yeah, I love that one.
You see? Come on, tell me about that.
Well, there's this bench out in Richmond Park, isn't it?
I don't know. I do now because I've got a little paragraph.
Just reminding myself. But no, the bench out in Richmond Park, which is a place that Ian Dury really liked. And you can go there and you can sit and listen to songs and an interview and that kind of thing. Unfortunately, it keeps getting...
How was it? Is there something plugged into the bench?
Yeah, in the arms of the bench, there's solar powered. I think it's an MP3 player, that kind of thing. Which you can listen. Unfortunately, it keeps getting broken in some way. I don't know how it is.
Vandalised.
I haven't been up there for a while, so I'm not sure whether it's currently functioning. But it's still a spot that he very much liked in the Poets' Corner up there, and I like Ian Dury, so I like that one.
Isn't that lovely? But you see, that's what's so great is that you're suddenly in the shoes of something else. Now, I went to drama school next to Golders Hill Park, and it was the first. I mean, I'd come from wherever I'd come from, and I'd never seen that kind of park in London where they have a little zoo, and it was absolute, and it's opposite the Bull and Bush. But you say that on the 23rd of August, which is going to be next Thursday. Can you tell us what happens there? I think it's fantastic.
Which one's that? 23rd of August. I forget. Is that the pitch and putt one? No,
pitch and putt. London has remarkably few designated.
Oh, croquet. Sorry. Yes. There is a croquet bit up there. Yeah,
I didn't know that. Is it? How old is that? Do we know? 2008.
Yeah, very relatively recent. So
yeah, 4 years old. Have you played? When you do this research?
I think that was when I just went and saw rather than actually playing. But I like to be honest with you. You know,
I know you have to be honest because I can read. you. Now, this if we just turn the page. We've just had the Olympics, and who knew that we were so fantastic as water sports? And who knew that you can do this on the 31st of August? Go on.
Well, this is rowing on the Thames from the Richmond Bridge boathouses. I was actually down there yesterday, down at the river down there, where they had a little World Music Festival, and it was a perfect day to row on the Thames yesterday. We wanted to do it, but the boats were all out because everyone had seized the day and
Let
gone
me
out
read
there.
what you've written, because your writing is lovely, and if I say it enough times, your publishers will be listening and they'll give you some more money. Here in late summer, the Thames is sleepy, thanks to Richmond Lock and Weir just downstream. And for a reasonable price, which is what?
I think it's £5 per person per hour, which I think is fairly reasonable. You know, they've got to make their money.
Rowers are free to pick their own way up the river, past the grand houses at Ham and Marble Hill, and drift effortlessly back downstream. What are the rowing boats? Do they have pillows in that you can lie down with your head and imagine?
Yeah, they're nice little boats, and yeah.
Isn't that wonderful? And you can see the mist on the river the way you've written it. Yeah. When you say that there's things here about Dickens and Darwin. Tell, because I haven't chosen those. Where can you go?
Well, one of my favourite places is Down House, which was Darwin's house out in near Biggin Hill, sort of Orpington, which is it's out in open countryside, but it's technically within the boundaries of Greater London.
And Orpington is nothing from London Bridge. It's about 10 minutes or something. Yeah.
I took my bike there and then on the train, and then biked the last bit, which didn't take any time at all. It was a lovely spot, and there you can sit in Darwin's study where he was formulating the origin of species, and see different bits in the garden where he did experiments and that kind of thing.
Can you touch anything?
Well, you can sort of touch the nature in the garden and that kind of thing, and you can go into his greenhouse and where he had Venus flytraps and I mean, I think I touched one of them. I don't know whether I was technically allowed to, but...
You did. This is from Tony in Richmond. Hi, Jenny and Tom. One of my favourite places in London is Postman's Park, with those exquisite plaques to London heroes. Tell us about Postman's Park.
Yeah, Postman's Park. It's just in the city, just near St Bart's and that kind of thing. And there's a wall of plaques there which are to heroes, ordinary heroes who died in trying to rescue people from London fires or drowned in ponds and that kind of thing. But all acts of heroism where they were. Where it wasn't a military sort of heroism. It was just a sort of ordinary person putting themselves in the line of fire, as it were. Yeah,
and it's like those programmes they put on ITV where there's not a dry eye in the house and the programme hasn't started. Now I have to go back to my childhood, because when I was 5, Tom Jones, I was a musical prodigy. Only when I was 5, sweetheart, because I grew out of it. But I was sent by the teacher that my mother found to Toynbee Hall.
Oh, yes.
Where I learnt to play the piano really rather well. Now, on the 13th of November, does this mean that every year on the 13th of November, is that, or is it just...
I mean, you can take it, I think you can, it's a self-guided tour of Toynbee Hall, so I think you can guide yourself on any days. I just think I was there at that sort of time of year.
I understand. So the date of this is when you actually experienced?
Not necessarily, but it's a similar time, I was fitting them all in and that kind of thing. So
Toynbee Hall in Whitechapel, and I know it well, is a settlement house founded in 1884 by my namesake, Samuel Barnett, although we weren't related, and his wife Henrietta. The aim of the house was to arrange for rich and poor in society to live more closely together, and volunteer middle-class settlement workers came to live in one of London's poorest urban areas to serve local people. Celebrated residents included Clement Attlee. We talked about this morning, with Peter Hennessy, and William Beveridge, two of the most famous social reformers of their generation. Visitors are welcome to take a self-guided tour of the hall during office hours. Now, if people buy this book, Tired of Life, Tired of London, and they go for a tour to Toynbee Hall, there are millions of things that you could have chosen. Why somewhere like Toynbee Hall?
And I tend to try and choose places with an interesting history and that people might not know about. And I think about Toynbee Hall, but many of my contemporaries perhaps might not have heard of it. And I think it's got an important history, especially as Beveridge and Attlee were based there, and so it clearly had worked. You
guys must have had a brilliant history teacher, because you and Lord Peter Hennessy are the same. Did you have a good history teacher at school?
Yeah, I did. Yeah.
Name him, her.
We had a Mr. Bunce and a Mrs. Patterson who were very good. They did actually, I think, help me learn how to research things and
to fire you up. They've made you come at history in the way that Lord Hennessy does, which it's utterly acceptable and biteable and part of our lives, actually, that it's important. Go on.
I was just going to say, Toynbee Hall is an amazing place, but only last week I was at Kingsley Hall, which is out in Bow, and that's where Gandhi stayed when he was in London, and you can still visit Gandhi's cell on the roof where he slept and that kind of thing, and that's another amazing sort of social centre with a great history that was set up by people who were relatively affluent to help out in a poor community, and I think that's very admirable.
I mean, without being a show-off, which I'm not really, but I've been to pretty much every place in the book because I'm ancient. That's why. But spend a silent night at Dennis Sever's house. Never heard of it.
Have you not?
No, tell me.
Well, it's this lovely house in Spitalfields owned by this eccentric Dennis Severs, and it's only open some evenings, but its Christmas openings are fairly legendary. And what it's one of these sort of, I think it's a huge sort of era house, and it's all laid out so that in each room you get the impression that it reflects the history of the time, how it might have looked in various different ages in the when it was first built in Victorian times, that kind of thing. But in each room you get a sense that the people who live there, the family, have just left. So there's food laid out, and they use smells and that kind of thing.
Do they cook for you in there?
No, it's just to visit. It's
just because I did film years ago in a house in Spitalfields where it actually freaked me because there were candles and everything was cooked in the back kitchen, and the food was brought in, and you could feel you could feel the residents who had lived there before, and also the colours of the paints on the wall, you know, that very kind of duck-egg blue and so on. Oh, how fantastic. So you can go... When you say spend a silent night, what does that mean?
Well, it is quite a quiet place, and actually, when you're in there, they do ask you not to speak, because to get an impression of to be literally silent, to get an impression of they play in sounds and that kind of thing, so that you get the full experience. So that's why. But also, it's a Christmas thing, so Silent Night was sort of a tie-in to that. It's
listen, if you're listening, Virgin publicists, can you give him another commission, please? Tired of London, Tired of Life by Mr. Tom Jones. One Thing a Day to Do in London. It is a lovely book, Tom.
Thank you.
And I'm so happy you started your blog. It's just brilliant. And you came and you complained about the book cover. You said it's glossy. I like it glossy. You'd have
Mine's
preferred...
matte, though, and it is matte.
Let me see your matte one. Hold on. Let me see if I prefer yours. No, mine's much swankier. That's fantastic. Well, listen, well done. Thank you for coming in. And please hurry along with your next project. We need to see more of Tom Jones.
Thank you.
Can you sing?
Well, not the songs of the singer who goes by the stage name Tom Jones, not his real name.
You know what he just said? Tom Jones did put his hand by his mouth like he was whispering an aside. My aside is, you can leave now. It's 10:30 exactly. News with Abigail Lewis.